G'day, CC from Generation Wellness Global, and I wanted to talk today about zipping your lips, nose breathing, actually. Shut that mouth. I did a post on Facebook a while ago, and it went nuts. It went absolutely nuts with people asking questions and talking about taping your mouth. Now, I do it each night when I sleep, and actually I started for my children before I was brave enough, because my kids, we did a lot of palate expansion work, and it was something to sort of help them keep that practice of breathing through their nose at night. But I knew, because they had palate expansion work, they were okay. They had developed airways, whereas I didn't get any of that when I was a kid. My palate is really, really high and narrow, and so I was worried about suffocating. But so far, so good. I'm okay. So why is this so important? It's really interesting that we have so much. I just get really, we have so much that comes as a result of mouth breathing that we have no idea about. So really, face shape, palate shape is determined by the tongue being on the roof of the mouth. The tongue is supposed to rest on the roof of the mouth. This is something that should be developed in infancy through breastfeeding, and then the tongue on the roof of the mouth expands the upper palate and the airways, and the lower jaw should follow naturally. It's supposed to follow. Now, a lot of people these days are tongue-tied and not diagnosed. It is so underdiagnosed. Please, please, even if you're not suspicious, if you have a narrow palate, if you have a narrow jaw, you are probably tongue-tied. If you have airway issues, breathing issues, sleep apneas, you're probably tongue-tied. It's related to so much, right? And a lot of, I don't know about other countries, but in Australia, we have midwives and GPs who aren't trained in tongue tie who give their opinion, which I think is just universally wrong. Don't give an opinion if you're not trained, if you don't know. But we also have a lot who are like, so we compartmentalize, right? So the lactation consultant or the midwife will look at the baby breastfeeding and go, no, they're doing okay. Their latch looks okay, so it's fine. And so parents are told, your child's fine. And me, not even being an expert, can look and go, oh, that is going to have long-term implications for their health and well-being. You should look into that. And here's me, like, I'm not an expert, but I'm going, if that were my child, I would want to know. And there's a lot of people who don't know, and they're in positions of authority in the medical field, and they don't know. It is starting to be more recognized. There are more dentists that are being trained, because they obviously see the implications and the impact, and they're realizing that the more they can do while the child is young to expand the palate and correct these things, the better off, because while they're young, the palate is still cartilage, it's still malleable and movable. And once you get your adult teeth, that starts to turn to bone. And then we get to like 15 and we're trying to fix things that are set in bone with braces. And, I've had traditional dentists say to a friend of mine, don't worry about trying to fix anything while they're young. And it's, just wait till they're 20 and we'll break their jaw and, rearrange it however we need to. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of thinking, if all I need to do is train the tongue into the roof of the child's mouth and teach them to close their mouth and breathe through their nose, that's probably a good thing to try before we break their jaw to correct things that weren't corrected. So the idea is, if you have a good lip seal, if you're breathing through your nose, the tongue should be up in the roof of the mouth. That should be the natural posture. And there are exercises you can do. You can look up orofacial exercises, myofascial therapy, things like that. There are people you can go to for exercises, or you'll find some on YouTube, I'm sure, to just train that lip seal to be stronger, train the tongue to be in the roof of the mouth. Even just getting the kids while they're on a device or watching telly to put a paper clip between their lips and hold it there, that's strengthening the lip seal. So it can be really simple. And the younger you're doing it and encouraging them to have that lip seal. Now this is not really strengthening the lips. This is just creating the right breathing pattern at night while they're asleep, and they can't think about those other things. But there's such simple exercises that the kids can do while they're young, and you can make it fun. And you know, we had like buttons attached to bottles, and you had to like try and hold the button in your mouth while you're hanging the bottle, you know. So there's so many cool things that you can do and make it fun with young kids. And it's correcting this. Now, if they're tongue tied, the lower jaw is not going to correct, or not very effectively. It's not going to follow the top jaw as it should. So you need to look into that if you have any narrowness in the bottom teeth. So there's a lot of information, sorry, but when my daughter was little, I took her to someone who did all this palate extension, thinking she's been breastfed for 3 years. She is like going to be so good. She had beautiful little baby teeth. And the guy took one look and went, oh yeah, she's crowded. And I was like, she's got beautiful teeth. But the thing was, she had beautiful baby teeth. There was no space. There was no room for anything else. And you can see I've got quite big adult teeth. Like I was like, oh, if my kids get teeth like mine. So I didn't realize as a child they should have almost as much space as they have teeth. And so I was like, oh my goodness, I've got so much work to do. Now, the other thing you can, that it can be a sign is if the chin is a little bit recessed, because that's, speaking of restriction. So my son was born with a quite recessed chin, and after tongue release, that's come forward. And the lips, when they're sealed, they should be pretty much a straight line. There shouldn't be like indents or curvature. Anyway, you can look all this stuff up, but honestly, I invite you to please think about tongue ties and palate expansion work while they're young, while the palate is still cartilage, because the implications aren't just whether they can breastfeed or whether they have nice teeth, although having nice teeth is a bonus, and not having to do it later when, you know, with braces is great. But you're expanding, you're getting the airways expanded and in correct position by developing the face shape properly. So a lot of people are struggling with sleep apnea, which can be related. A lot of people are struggling with behavioral issues in children, which can be related. And I had someone get really upset with me because I said it was, there was research showing that ADHD can be related to the imbalance in gases. So when you're breathing through your mouth, you're not getting the right balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen in your blood. And so you tend to feel a bit sleepy and sluggish. And so you tend to, as a child, get a bit hyper to stimulate and wake yourself up when you're struggling because you're feeling a bit sleepy and sluggish. And I'm not saying it's the only cause of ADHD and autism and all whatever. I'm just saying research has shown a link. And so it's something to think about, you know, like this is having bigger implications than just how pretty your teeth look or whether you can breastfeed as a baby. This is a really big deal. On top of that, a lot of kids are having their tonsils out. Now, when you breathe through your mouth, you're not filtering the air. Your nose acts as a filter. Your tonsils are your first line of defense past that filter. So it's actually really important for your immune system that your tonsils act as a defense. But when you've got the constant onslaught of unfiltered air, your tonsils are getting hammered, and so they get really inflamed. And so you have kids with chronic inflamed tonsils. My daughter, when she was really young, one of her tonsils was actually like past the midline. It was so inflamed. Now, what they don't tell you is children actually grow into their tonsils. So the tonsils are larger than the child, and then the child grows to the size of the tonsils, or a little bit like that. But also, if you're breathing through the mouth, they're going to be permanently inflamed because they're getting unfiltered air constantly. So they're fighting this battle to try and help clear some of the pathogens and things that are coming at it. Now, then we go to an ENT specialist who goes, oh, this child's like just got chronic like tonsillitis and this and that. We'll just take them out. Well, so we've taken out another layer of defense mechanism without correcting the problem. Now, if your child needs that, then hey, that's what they need. But the first step before that is to see if they're mouth breathing and do some of these exercises and try and get them breathing through their nose and get the correct behaviors, so that then you can see what you're really dealing with. Like if you've addressed that and they still have chronic problems, then that might be something specific for them. But if we're going for surgery before we're going for, hey, let's see if we can breathe through our nose, I'm kind of the opinion that we should try and avoid surgery if possible and try everything else first. And there's a real lack of, like I said, we compartmentalize. You know, the dentist sees this bit and the ENT sees this bit and the lactation consultant sees this bit, and none of them sort of go, hey, there's actually long-term health implications here. So let's get in early and look at trying to address that root cause, and then see what else. You know, there's the kind of the ENT just looks at their stuff and fixes their stuff, and the dentist looks at their stuff and fixes their stuff. Excuse me. So I'm really big on trying to educate, because I'm a parent who's walked this path, and I'm so incredibly blessed that I've found the right people. Some of them I didn't find early enough. Sometimes my kids had to suffer through the consequences of not getting the right information at the right time. But overall, I was really blessed to get some really good experts and information that helped me step my kids through this process. And so that's a huge amount of information. If you have questions, please reach out. There are people who specifically train and deal with tongue tie. Please seek advice from one of them. Please even seek a recommendation that they are good in their field. Because, you know, there are mums who have been there who know, yes, go to this person, don't go to that person. I have it, you know. So mums talk, okay? Your experts need to like, but yeah, it's such an area that are such simple, it's such a simple remedy if you get the right information at the right time. And yet the long-term implications and what you might need to deal with, you know, I go to all the expansion experts and stuff now, and they go, oh, you're an example of what not to do. And I'm like, yeah, I know, thanks. I didn't have this information. My mum didn't have this information, but I've got it for my kids, and I'm so grateful, because they have much prettier faces now than I do. But you know, like this stuff is really, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And so I'm really passionate about trying to get this information out there. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out, because we really need to get the kids learning, and adults. Like I said, I'm now taping my mouth at night, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference to brain fog, because the gases, the oxygen, carbon dioxide balance in my bloodstream is better when I'm breathing through my nose. And when I tape my mouth at night, I find that I wake up in the morning, and even without tape, I spend a lot more of the day doing the right thing, breathing through my nose. It's like my brain's gone, oh, you can actually do that. It's okay. It's safe to breathe through your nose. You're not going to suffocate. So it actually corrects the behavior for most of the day for me as well. So it's nice to not wake up with brain fog, right? It's important that we actually understand the implications of something so simple, and how powerful and important it is. So I hope this video helps. Please reach out with any questions, and I really hope that you find some good experts to help guide you through this process. And if you need recommendations in Australia, I can definitely reach out to people I know who keep lists of recommendations, and they keep track of all who's practicing what. Other countries, not quite as good, but who knows? I might know someone who knows someone. But yeah, definitely look into it. And it's really seems prevalent in Australia at the moment. And I would say the UK, because just looking at face shape, right? Just looking at what the natural face shape of an area is, you can kind of pick. And I think that comes from underlying nutritional stuff, but that's a whole other video. So I hope this helps, and please reach out and let me know what you think about the video. Please subscribe to my channel if you'd like more along these lines. Please reach out if there's a particular topic you'd like me to discuss in more detail. I would love to hear from you. All right, have an awesome day and keep smiling with your mouth closed.